Welcome to Memorial Cooking Innovations. I'm Tim Scallon, registered dietitian, and with me today is a very special guest, a local food enthusiast, and he just happens to be a first-generation immigrant from the Netherlands, Mr. Jan Viet. Welcome to Memorial Cooking Innovations, Jan.
Thank you, Tim. Glad to be here.
You know, Jan, Memorial Cooking Innovations, it has viewers in 62 cities across the country. And some people don't know this, but we have viewers in several other countries. But you know what? You're supposed to say what?
What?
I don't think we have any viewers in the Netherlands.
Well, I can help you out with that.
Yeah?
I called my little sister, and she's going to tune in as soon as this air goes, as soon as the show goes on the air.
We're going to go viral with this one, yeah.
She always asks me about that kind of stuff like Skyping.
Yeah?
I haven't done that yet.
Well, you need to do that because it's a good way to talk to your sister in the Netherlands. Well, so if we can add the Netherlands to our list of foreign countries, Memorial Cooking Innovations really is changing the world one bite at a time. Okay, so Jan, let me ask this question. So obviously your accent is not Louisiana, and you're going to cook gumbo today. So tell me, how'd you get into cooking gumbo?
Well, I got recruited by Willis Knighton in Shreveport.
Yes.
As a physical therapist.
Okay,
And
okay.
I met my wife there, and she was from Bossier City.
I see. So that's where the Louisiana comes from.
Yeah, and she had brothers, and
Yeah.
they came in one time with a big pot of gumbo.
Gumbo, yeah.
So I kind of tasted it, and I asked my wife how to do it, and we had to kind of figure it out from there.
All right. Well, you know, Jan isn't just a local food enthusiast. He actually competes in gumbo cook-offs. So, Jan, so one thing led to another, huh?
It did. The first one was a little competition for me and my daughter just to have fun.
Yeah.
And the second one was in Lake Charles.
Yeah.
And the third one, Lake Charles. And then the last two were in Bossier City, Shreveport.
You know, Lake Charles is serious gumbo territory there, you know. So, okay, now, you know, when we say Louisiana gumbo, most people think a seafood stew. But you're actually going to do this something a little different today, so tell us about that.
Yeah, we're going to use chicken and sausage gumbo.
We're gonna cook sausage on Memorial Cooking Innovations. This is like MCI, gone wild. That's hard to say 3 times fast.
It is. But you're going to see what we're going to do later to kind of help you out with the fat and the sodium.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that. All right, well, so Jan, let's get started.
Well, let's start making the roux, Tim.
Okay. All right, so what have you got here?
I got a little pan, cast iron, enamel.
Okay.
And you see how flat the bottom is?
Yes.
And you see how flat my little spatula is?
Yes.
So when I add the flour to it,
Okay.
because it's so hot, it's
Yeah.
about 440 degrees.
All right, so that's very hot. Okay, yeah, all right.
And we want to get to that point, smoking point kind of.
Yes.
And that way I don't have to spend that much time
Cooking the roux.
cooking the roux.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, so you have peanut oil in here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then what are the other ingredients to this
Now I'm
roux?
going to add the flour.
Okay.
Or maybe I should do a little different.
So it's actually, I don't know if you can see this or not, but this oil is hot enough that the flour is, even when you put it in there, it's almost like boiling.
It's boiling and it's almost already browning from the get-go.
Now, Jan, why did you choose peanut oil for this particular recipe? Why not any other oil? Why not olive oil, for example?
Right. Some of this is your preference of what kind of taste you like.
Yeah,
Peanut oil doesn't have a lot of flavor to it.
yeah.
And it's also smokeless.
That's right. The smoke point on peanut oil is higher than olive oil. Actually, viewers may not know this, but olive oil has a low smoke point. What that means is it smokes at a lower temperature. Whereas peanut oil, if you're going to deep fry something, now we never would do that on Memorial Cooking Innovations, but peanut oil is a preference for deep frying because you can get a lot of heat without it hitting smoke point.
And if you get a lot of heat, guess what? The moisture stays in
Yes.
if you do, say, turkey or something like
Oh,
that.
okay, okay, yes. Well, that makes sense because you're searing the outside of the bird,
Yeah.
holding in the moisture.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. So you're adding flour to this to make your roux. And when we were talking earlier, you were talking about, color of the roux is an important thing to you. So talk about color for a minute.
Yeah, you might know this technique from in the morning when you have gravy over your biscuits.
Yeah, I never eat biscuits and gravy because, I'm a registered dietitian and, people just wouldn't feel right about me eating biscuits and gravy.
So you add a little oil or a little fat and a little flour.
Yeah.
And at that time, the flour is just basically a thickener,
Yes.
but it doesn't add a lot of taste to it.
Yeah. You have to add salt and pepper to add flavor.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you want to go past that kind of whitish color
Yes.
and get a little bit into the people call it the blonde color,
Yes.
you're getting towards a little bit of a peanut butter color.
And so this is what's referred to as browning the flour, and literally, you're actually burning the flour, the starch molecules basically.
That's what you're doing.
And so you refer to your color as a blonde. In your recipe, you say your preference, but make it blonde to dark chocolate.
Yeah, if you stay here with this for another 30 minutes or so, you're going to see these colors change.
Okay.
We're right now on high heat to keep that 440 going.
Yeah.
If you get close to that kind of like a brownie color,
Yeah.
I normally turn it down a little bit.
Yes.
Because I'm getting real close
Cooking too fast.
to where I want to go.
Yes. Okay.
And then I take it off the heat.
Yes. And it's always, this is in any cooking, just because you remove the pot from the stove doesn't mean that it stops cooking immediately.
And that's nice about this cast iron.
Yeah, it'll continue to cook.
Yep.
So, okay. All right.
Now we're using peanut oil,
Yeah.
but in the past I also have used clarified butter.
Okay, now for our viewers, so that they know what clarified butter is, basically butter has three main ingredients. There's the milk solids, water, and butterfat. And when you melt butter, those separate by density. And so when you say clarified butter, you mean basically you've just pulled out the milk solids and the water, and you just have the milk fat there.
Yeah, and what happened is when I was adding the flour to it, I got these kind of little grainy molecules in
Yes,
there due to the
yes.
heat and the protein.
Yes.
And I didn't want that. And then
I see.
a friend of mine, Corey, told me, hey, you need to start using.
Use clarified butter.
Yes.
That way it's just the fat from
Just
the
the fat,
butter.
yeah.
But you still, and that's where all the flavor is too.
That is. It's just going to take you a little longer because butter is in a lower.
It lowers,
Temperature.
Yes, that's right. It'll burn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Tim, I think I got that color just right.
This has really browned a lot. I mean, this is like chocolate brown.
Do you smell a little bit of it?
I do. And that browning, it has a very characteristic smell.
I'm going to show you a little trick. If you're not happy
Okay.
with this color,
All right.
you can put a little bit of this onion in here.
You're going to put onions in the roux.
And then what that will
Jan.
do, the sweetness of the onion
Yes.
will caramelize the roux a little bit darker.
And you've got this so hot that when you put those onions in there, they started sizzling immediately. And so that caramelization that you're talking about, that's another flavor enhancer.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, okay. All right. This is beautiful, Jan. Okay, so you got, boy, I really smell it now. Okay, so you got that the way you want it?
Yeah, and we can put it to the side,
Okay.
and we can start work. Oh, you smell it now, yeah. Now we can start working on the rest of it.
Okay, so you're going to start the gumbo now?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I got a pan here,
Yep.
and I'm going to put a little bit of,
You're going to use bacon? Okay. All right. All
Okay.
right. The dietitian is not looking right now, okay? All right, so we got our bacon.
now the reason why I use bacon is that, or bacon drippings, or
Yes.
pan drippings.
Yes, yes.
We just let it sit there. And
You're
let it-
starting to speak East Texan now.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
start just let it to render it fat.
Okay, okay.
But I'm going to take it out. after.
Okay, so you just want the fat from the bacon. He
yeah.
just wants the bad stuff or the good stuff, depending on how you look at it.
Right, right.
You know, dietitians tend to look at things a little differently than people. Have you ever noticed that?
Well, you're talking about maybe the calories and the cholesterol.
Well, cholesterol, sodium, fat. You know, I tell a lot of the patients that I talk to that, you know, people our age don't need to eat sausage and bacon because it's got a lot of bad stuff in it.
Well, the way I look at it, I got to run a mile tonight.
Yeah.
To make that go away.
Well, and you know, in this recipe, and this is noted on the recipe that we published, your recipe that we published and you and I talked about. In this recipe, if you wanted to reduce the saturated fat, cholesterol, and sodium, instead of the sausage and bacon, use pork loin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, pork loin, a lot of people don't know, is as lean as chicken, but it's got a lot more flavor. It's got that good pork flavor. And so that's a way that we can make this chicken gumbo a traditional dish for this area, but still we can make it leaner if we want to.
And maybe at the end, you're going to see us skimming off
Okay.
a lot of this.
Okay, so that's another technique. You referred to that earlier in the show, that the bacon and the sausage is going to add a lot of fat, but at the end you're going to skim that off so it doesn't go in our blood vessels.
There you go.
Okay.
There
All
you
right.
Well, I think, Tim, we have some fat rendered there.
Okay.
So I will take that off.
All right.
Wait.
I know all of our viewers, because I hear from you all the time, and I really appreciate you talking to me and telling me you watch the show. It's always a pleasure and a very nice compliment. But now I'm going to hear everybody talking about using bacon on Memorial Cooking Innovations. This may be a first. Okay, so now what are you going to do?
Now I'm going to start browning the meat a little bit.
All right, so you're going to add the chicken. And so I noticed, Jan, that you left this chicken, you didn't dice it up. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I didn't dice it up. It's going to probably fall apart a little bit while we put it in the gumbo down the road.
Yes.
Also, the browning is a little bit better. I already kind of pre-cooked this a little bit for the show.
Yeah. So this is like the chicken that you made your stock from.
Right.
Okay.
And you see some white meat.
Yeah.
Many people will say that the flavor also comes from the dark meat.
Well, actually, there's some science behind that. You know, dark meat, it's kind of splitting hairs because overall chicken is lean, but the dark meat has more fat than the white meat, and the fat is where the flavor is. In fact, on Memorial Cooking Innovations, you hear us say a lot of times the flavor is in the freshness. Well, when we're pulling out or omitting certain fats, one of the ways that we add flavor back in is with fresh ingredients, fresh herbs, and so vegetable broth, instead of water. So these are techniques that we use to adjust the flavor. In this case, you're using the real stuff.
Yeah, and
okay, now I just wanted to say one more thing about that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if you wanted to make this dish more healthy, this is going to taste great, okay? And I love it that you're teaching us a traditional method because that's really what you're doing. But if you didn't want the saturated fat and the cholesterol, if your doctor tells you to be on a low cholesterol diet, then you could use a pork loin. Pork loin is as lean as chicken, has a lot of flavor, and so you could also use that with the chicken in this dish.
right.
Okay, so let's start the veggies. So you're going to start with the onion, celery, and bell pepper.
Yes.
And traditionally in Louisiana, we would refer to that as the Holy Trinity. Do you know what the Holy Trinity is?
Yeah, it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Well, it is that. That's right. He said that as a good Dutch boy, didn't he? But in Louisiana, of course, it is these three vegetables that you're going to saute together: onion, pepper, and celery, correct?
Yeah. Now, the ratio is that I always have about a 4-to-2 on the celery versus onion.
Okay. So 4-to-2. 4-to-2.
Yeah, 4 onions and then maybe 8 celery sticks. But for the small size, we just kind of...
Yeah, you're going to use a small amount. Yeah.
The bell peppers, you got to be a little careful with this, in my opinion. They can cause bitterness.
Okay, so you don't want to use too much.
Not too much.
Okay.
And so now I put them on the grill first.
Okay.
And then cut them up to make sure I don't get that bitterness in my...
Okay, so that's why your recipe calls for these to be grilled.
Yeah, if you go with too much bell pepper,
yeah,
it has a little bit of a bitterness in the gumbo.
Okay.
Well, Tim, this is cooked about 10 minutes.
Okay.
It looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, it looks delicious.
I'm gonna add some chicken stock.
Okay, all right. Now, as you're adding that stock, I wanted to make a note that this chicken has started to kind of cook apart. And you made an interesting comment earlier when you were saying that some people recommend using an old hen.
Yeah, an older chicken.
Yeah.
So the meat will stay up a little bit more.
It'll hold together more.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little tougher. A
Right.
stewing chicken, for example.
Right.
So you've added a little bit of broth. Then what?
I'm gonna add the other veggies.
Okay. So other veggies.
I'm gonna leave a little bit for garnish later.
Yeah. And what's this one? Parsley?
Parsley.
Okay, using fresh parsley, good fresh ingredients. I wanted to tell you that if you didn't want to, you prepared this stock with this chicken. You just made your own chicken stock, which is the good way to do it. But if you don't want to take that much time, then you buy a pre-made broth. Just make sure you choose the low sodium, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a dietitian. You want, if you're going to cook with this to use this as a soup base, if it's not low sodium, it's just going to be too salty. And you want to be in control of the saltiness, yes?
You can certainly cover up the whole dish with salt, and then all the other stuff we put in there,
Yeah.
that's going to be gone.
You know, that's one of the things that we've learned on Memorial Cooking Innovations. A little bit of salt brings out those flavors.
The other ones, yeah.
Yeah. But too much salt covers them up.
And the other reason maybe why a whole chicken, because I'm going to add some of the dark meat.
Yeah.
And first the white meat.
Yeah.
So people say there might be a little more flavor there.
Yeah.
I'm going to add some, now this is maybe a not very favorable addition according to the Southerns in Louisiana.
The tomato?
They don't put tomato in theirs.
They don't put tomato in their gumbo. Well, now see, I'm with you on this one, but because to me tomato goes in this dish.
It's a little more northern. They put a little more tomatoes in there.
All right, so that's the northern Louisiana.
I don't know. The last competition, we saw them all across the board, from
using tomato,
blonde butter-based,
yeah,
to a tomato-based kind of little Worcestershire sauce.
Okay.
Garlic.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to put the herbs in there.
Okay. So what have you got in here?
Well, we got basically thyme and basil.
Thyme and basil.
Yeah. Those are the 1:1 ratio.
Okay. Thyme and basil.
Yeah, and then half ratio, little sage, little oregano, and a little bit of a bay leaf.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right.
You can buy these also just pre-made.
Yeah. Like
an Italian pinch or something like that.
Yeah, like Italian herb.
Yeah. The only difference is I add a little bit gumbo filet to it.
Gumbo filet. Well, I was going to ask you about that. So that's in this mix that you just added. Yeah.
Well, they say you probably have to add it at last, but I don't use that much. So it's just kind of like another layer of a taste to add. Now, filet is a little timid, so I added a little bit extra in this mixture.
Yes. Okay. And so when you say timid, you mean the flavor is mild compared to some of the other ones.
Like the thyme and the sage.
Yeah.
Now, Tim, you see how this kind of simmers down?
Yes.
So I'm ready to go ahead and add my roux to this stock.
Okay. I think I can handle this.
Okay.
Okay. So you use the amount that you want to use on here.
Right. The only thing you have to be a little careful with, this still could be hot.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of add a little bit at a time.
Okay. And so basically, this roux, which is a thickener, is what's going to add the body to your gumbo. And you were talking earlier about how you want your gumbo to sit on a spoon.
Yes.
And for you, that's a visual characteristic of what a gumbo should be, a quality characteristic.
Yeah, not people might say it's a stew-like, but I would add some more stock to this. But I would like the, there you go. I'm getting a little more the consistency that I'm looking for. It's going to come down a little bit when I keep the...
As you simmer it.
Yeah, if I keep the lid on it
Yeah.
for the first hour, that'd be fine. I keep everything inside, but then after that, I'll probably take the lid off and see if I can simmer it down a little bit.
Because you're looking for a specific consistency. Okay, and the other thing I wanted to point out is if you're not up to making a roux on your own, there are some very good products out there that it's a pre-made product. And so you would use this in the same way that he just added his homemade roux. Now notice how the liquid is on top here. So when you first open this, what you do is you stir it together, just like he stirred this together, so that it's smooth, it's a smooth consistency. And they have different types. Here's the same brand, but this is more of a blonde. So when you hear Jan talking about a blonde versus a dark chocolate, well, you don't have to make your own roux to get that. And these are very good products. Now that's starting to look like the gumbo that I'm used to seeing. Okay.
Well, you smell it, Tim? It's been
It smells good.
cooking for about an hour,
Yeah.
2 hours, and
Yeah.
your smell kind of tells you if everything kind of got to the point that you want to.
Okay.
To kind of maintain control of what else we're going to put in there,
Yeah.
we are not using a over-the-counter.
Like a seasoning blend,
yeah.
like something like, well, you know, everyone knows this brand, and this is a blend of seasonings that a lot of people would use to cook a dish like this.
And they will end up adding it to it, but you will have a little hard time to figure out which way you want to go with this dish.
And the reason is because this is a very high sodium seasoning. It's got a lot of salt in it, which in my opinion, and what I'm hearing you say too, in your opinion, it covers up these other flavors.
And
So what do you have in this dish?
so I got a little white pepper,
Yep,
little black pepper.
yep,
Now this is cayenne pepper.
cayenne, okay,
Now cayenne pepper, you can substitute it with some chili powder.
yep,
And if you want to go way on the mild side,
yeah,
you can just add some paprika.
paprika, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
Because
sir.
I thought that's what that was, but it's cayenne. Okay.
Yeah, so with
and
that,
then
yeah,
this one is
red.
red pepper
pepper
flakes.
flakes.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we talk about taste and smell.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is not being tasted and smelled. This is being transferred with your
Senses. You're
senses.
on your palate. Yes.
Yeah. So there's a direct input into the brain,
Yes.
and that's why you can taste it on your lips,
Yes.
or you can taste it in the back of your throat.
Yes.
It's a little different way of tasting food.
Of experiencing the food. Yes. Yes. That's
Pungency, I think, is
right. Yes.
the name to it. But
Pungency. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
so we can now control this by how much we're just going to pinch in there.
Now, to put that in less scientific terms, what you're actually doing is how much hot do you want in this? How much spiciness? And you know, one of the things that we've learned on Memorial Cooking Innovations is add little and taste, and then because you can always add more, but you can't take it out.
That's true. That's true. So we just used a little bit of it. We
Yeah.
can taste it.
Yeah.
And then I'll let you do the honors.
You're
Tim.
going to let me add the salt? So on this show, the dietitian gets to add a pinch of salt. Okay, all right. There's a pinch. Now let's just see if that's enough, because we can always add more.
And you know, salt can really ruin the dish.
Yeah, it covers everything up.
But you do need some salt
Yeah.
to help the other ones come out.
You know what I think of when you say that? I think of an orchestra that has all of this music that you're playing, and you've got a tuba that is playing too loud. It covers everything up. And you've got all these perfect little flavors in there, but if there's one flavor too loud, then you don't get all the rest. Okay, so you want me to taste? Let me grab that. Okay, here. Taste a lot of flavors. I get the thyme, I get the rosemary. Was it rosemary or no, oregano?
Oregano.
Sorry. Yep. You know, I think it could actually, now you taste it. You taste it and tell me what you think.
Well, you taste all those because if you let it go for another half hour,
Yes.
it will be gone.
Yeah, they blend.
They
yes.
blend in. You taste all the individuals right
Yes.
now, but if you
Yes.
let it go for a little more longer simmering,
Yes. Now, you form your opinion, but now I would say it actually needs another pinch of salt.
It
Would you
does.
say? Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the dietitian saying that, by the way.
we had that. We had family members come over and they started criticizing your 5 or 10 gallon gumbo pot,
Yes.
and they say, "You need salt."
Yeah.
Sorry, but all the ingredients we've picked so far were saltless.
Yes, that's right. And that's why it needs a little salt at the end.
Now we're fixing it.
When you made the comment that, well, people at some of the competitions, and you even referring to some of your family talking about they really like their food salty, you know, our palate changes based on what you put across it. And this is true, like if you get away from eating salt and you go back and eat something salty, it's too much. It means your palate has adapted. That's true for sweets, you know, people that eat a lot of sweets. It's true for getting away from whole milk and consuming 2% milk. You know, your palate gets used to that change. And you know, the wine drinkers would say we develop our palates. Well, all that's the same concept. It's the sensors on our tongue adapt to what you put across it. So when you're cooking in a competition, how do you determine how much salt to use?
Well, you have your family members help you, but then the first customers come by,
Yes.
you know, they will kind of look at the face, and
Yes.
you see them walk away, you kind of
Yes.
look over the shoulder, make sure. And then of course you have people choices, coins you can get,
Yes.
or they can come by and buy a little one,
Yeah.
or they can buy a big one. And much of this is for fundraisers.
Yes.
So you cook there, but they buy a ticket, and that money goes to a good cause.
So if they're buying a big bowl, it means that you've got a good gumbo.
But there you go. That's what you hope, huh?
Okay. All right. Well, are you ready to dish that up? Did it pass your taste test?
Yeah, I think it's wonderful. I like the consistency too.
Okay, well, I happen to cook some rice for us, and now I know traditionally we would use white rice, but being the dietitian that I am, I made a brown rice. And if you've never had brown rice, even though it's not traditional in South Louisiana, you know, it has a very nutty flavor that I think complements a dish like this. So do you have a bowl we can dish some of this up in?
There is another rice out there that has about 13 herbs in there. Uncle.
Are you making this up?
No, and some people really want to use that one too as a part of their their gumbo.
And what do you think about that? About this much or
Yeah,
one
it's
more?
Perfect.
Okay. So do you like using this rice, this flavored rice for the gumbo?
Well, we already have so many flavors in here.
Yes.
So I really like to just keep it clean to the gumbo itself.
That's perfect. See, I'm with you on that. In other words, the rice is something to it's something to add to the gumbo, but it shouldn't compete with it.
No,
So-
I agree.
Okay, so I want to thank Mr. Jan Viet for sharing his gumbo expertise with us today and for joining us on Memorial Cooking Innovations. And you know, Jan, we want to thank all of our sponsors, Brookshire's, Polk Education Center, people working very hard to help people with diabetes. And especially we want to thank you. I had a gentleman tell me today, Jan, he told me, you know, I watch the cooking show all the time. He was a very fine gentleman here in Lufkin, Texas. And I told him that we'll be sure and watch this show coming up because Jan Viet is going to be making a chicken gumbo. And boy, his eyes lit up. So you know who you are. And so we want to thank you all for joining us this time because together we're changing the world one bite at a time. Memorial Cooking Innovations is made possible through the generous efforts of Brookshire Brothers, a celebration of family and community, CHI St. Luke's Memorial, the Polk Education Center, Sodexo Food Service, and the City of Lufkin, KLTX Channel 15.